Hey there, it's Christine Faulkner with Cobb & Faulkner, Elk Grove Living Trust Lawyer, Sacramento Estate Planning Attorney. Thanks for tuning into another edition of Catching Up with Christine. So today I want to talk about the difference between an Advanced Healthcare Directive, POLST, and DNR. Have you ever wondered what these documents are and why they're different, or if they're all really the same thing? If you have wondered what the difference is and how these documents are used, then this video is for you, because we're going to cover the difference between each and how they're used and the parameters or criteria surrounding the document. So perhaps you are wondering, do I need to have all three? And the answer is, it really depends. It depends on where you are in life, how old you are, if you have any serious health conditions. Those things really go into the decision-making about what kind of documents you need. So you might be wondering, well, when does the need come in for a DNR? I work with a lot of clients who ask, when I'm working with them in putting their estate planning together, do I need to have a DNR? And so let's kind of talk about the broader to the narrow. Let's talk about broad first, down to the most specific. So first, let's talk about an Advanced Healthcare Directive. An Advanced Healthcare Directive is a document in which an adult is who has testamentary capacity. So you can't have dementia, or you have to at least be lucid and have testamentary capacity to create the document in the first place. So really important to understand that the document has to be created before the incapacity occurs. If the incapacity has occurred, it is unfortunately too late. So always important to think about, if you're healthy, putting these documents in place now, because you have the capacity to do that. Ultimately, the goal of the Advanced Healthcare Directive is to name an individual or several individuals to be able to act on your behalf when it comes to medical decision-making if you become legally incapacitated. And so what does that mean? It means that you no longer have the capacity to understand the ramifications of your decisions. There are some very clear cases of what that means, right? You're in a coma. You can't communicate. You have developed Alzheimer's or dementia or some cognitive impairment that, where to the point that your doctor indicates you no longer can really understand the ramifications of your decision making. And of course, they're going to use certain criteria to make those determinations. When that happens, there's two outcomes. If you don't have any kind of incapacity planning, you don't have your healthcare directive, nobody has the ability to make these decisions for you, medical decisions, where you're going to live. So it's really important that you understand why an Advanced Healthcare Directive is so important, because you're choosing now who will be making healthcare decisions and medical decisions for you if you cannot. And of course, that's a really intimate thing, right? Like, who do I trust, or who do you trust to make decisions about your body and your healthcare and your well-being if you're not able to do that? So it is not the same as a DNR. It is not the same as saying, hey, I don't want to be resuscitated. It is choosing those people and also giving them broad powers to step in and act on your behalf and decision make in your stead, right? Given all of the facts and circumstances. So most healthcare directives don't have DNR languages. It's just too broad in terms of all of the different potential consequences or scenarios that could come up, to define under what circumstances you would withhold resuscitation. So the Advanced Healthcare Directive is really not the place for that. And when I'm working with younger clients, I talk to them about the fact that, any number of different things could happen to you. And having a do not resuscitate language is really kind of cut and dried, and it prevents the medical professionals from administering treatment that can save your life. And just imagine you were allergic to bees and you got stung by a bee. Having, stringent DNR language means that you can't resuscitate. You're not likely to be incapacitated, but you could be, right? You could be in anaphylactic shock and not be able to communicate and really need somebody else to do that for you. So there's a whole plethora or a whole spectrum of things that could happen. And so that's why it's important to understand that an advanced healthcare directive is really to accomplish a couple of things. Make sure that someone could decision make medically for you if you could not, and outline the parameters of your desires. And so when we create healthcare directives for individuals, we outline the fact that, you want your family to have certainty. And if you have a condition or disease that is likely to end your life in a short period of time, or you're not likely to return to to decision-making ability and lead a relatively normal life, that it is not something that you don't want to be perpetuated on life support. But it's not a cut and dried statement. And it's really important to understand that it does give your agent authority to make that decision, make the call based upon everything they know. And so advanced healthcare directive, it is also so important that you do this for your, adult children, or your adult children consider doing this for themselves for all of the same reasons. So again, every adult should have an advanced healthcare directive. So what is a POLST? You may have heard of that. A POLST is a physician orders for life-sustaining treatment. And that is a form that's completely voluntary. It is generally filled out later in life. So it is for people who are seriously ill or very frail. They really want to put a container around, or really put a clear definition of treatments that they do want and they don't want. And POLST can actually include DNR language, but it's not the same. So it's more inclusive. A POLST can include different types or different parameters around treatment, including full treatment, selective treatment, or comfort focused treatments, and those can be specifically delineated. It is completed and signed by your doctor. So this is not something that you can complete and make yourself. You have to do this in tandem with your healthcare agent your healthcare provider. And it's probably important, and it's really meant to be completed after a really thoughtful conversation with your medical provider and your loved ones, your family. And so this is something that your doctor completes. You can complete with them, but your physician or medical provider has to execute it in order for it to be valid. And it has to be on a bright pink piece of paper in order for it to be honored. So the most narrow document is a DNR, a do not resuscitate. And once again, this is literally an order saying, do not resuscitate me under any circumstances. It is generally meant for CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, but it can include other kind of interventions as well. And you can complete this, and this is meant to be used for in a hospital to give guidance to and give permission basically not to resuscitate. And you can also execute an out of hospital DNR. So you can imagine folks that are nearing their end of life. They may be terminal, they may be in hospice at home. They would execute an out of hospital DNR, which gives instructions to emergency medical services not to resuscitate under any circumstances. So generally, the latter two, the POLST and the DNR, are reserved for people who are terminally ill. They're very ill. They're likely coming towards the end of their lives anyway, and they want to exert that control over maybe a little bit broader definition of the kind of treatment they want, or just the resuscitation component. Both should be on pink paper. I don't think that the DNR has to be, but it makes it easy to find, and it should be prominently displayed, like on a refrigerator. Interestingly, you can, if you have those documents, you can also get medallions. In California, Californians are allowed to wear a necklace or a bracelet that indicates that they have executed a DNR and or a POLST with a DNR component to it. They wear that bracelet or medallion around their neck, and it has to have specific language in California, which is it has to say California do not resuscitate EMS, or California POLST EMS, or California POLST do not resuscitate EMS. You can get more information about all of this by going to emsa.ca.gov for some specific, much more information, detailed information about how all of this works and is integrated into the state system. But I thought it would be useful because people do ask these questions a lot, like what's the difference and what do I need? And so I hope you found this useful as kind of a guide where you fall in that spectrum, both in terms of health and age, and what you might want to discuss with your physician, and at what point in time you might want to consider executing a POLST and a DNR in addition to your advanced healthcare directive. So thanks so much for tuning in to another edition of Catching Up with Christine. As always, hope the information is beneficial to you. Let us know what you'd like to hear about and how we can further educate you. Questions, burning questions that you've had, and subscribe to our channel. Like our videos, let YouTube know we're doing a good job, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.